I'm so excited to be back in this area. This is New York City Hall, and I was here 2 years ago for the first time. The tours, it's a guided tour and it's free. So you just need to send an application and they will send you an email with confirmation of the time and date. I had no idea about those buildings 2 years ago. So when I first came here after the tour, I asked what is this beautiful building? So it's I discovered that was Woolworth building, and I researched and found out a lot of facts about that, and I'm going to tell you about that. So another cool building that I discovered that day was Municipal Building. And on top of Municipal Building, there is a statue of Audrey Manson. And Audrey Manson was called as Miss Manhattan, or America's first supermodel, who was born in 1891 and died in 1996. And I'm not mistaken, she died 104 years old. First part of her life, when she was 20, she started her being supermodel at the age of 17. And at the age of 30, her career was already dead, and she ended up in the asylum, and that's where she died. So a lot of statues that you see throughout New York, so the model was Audrey Manson. So one of them is this one on top of the Municipal Building, another one in the fountain of in front of the Plaza Hotel, and a lot of other places. So very legendary human and model. And there is a book, The Curse of Beauty, which I'm gonna order today and read the book because it's a fascinating story how she became so popular, and then overnight it was all destroyed and she was penniless.
First subway station is immediately below us. It's not open to the public anymore. It's too small for today's trains.
When you enter in the City Hall, there's a statue of George Washington. You can actually touch his foot. It's a good luck too. It's better to touch this than the bull's balls. Right. So the person who made the statue, he was from France. I don't remember his name, but he came from France, and he went where George Washington lived at that time, and he lived with him for some time. So he wanted to create a statue that was very realistic. You notice here, there is no button here. So that also shows that he was a regular human, that he might wear something that, button was missing there. Also, his weapon is tucked here because he was not a soldier anymore, and behind it, lawnmower, because he was a farmer. This represents the guide was telling the story about this part, which is kind of the sticks or arrows that symbolizes the strength of unity. And we have this beautiful fairy tale or myth in Georgia too, when the father gives the arrows to his sons when he's kind of dying, and he gives each arrow to his sons and asks them to break it. So, and they can break when he gives one after another, but when he gives a stack of the arrows, then they cannot break. So that's the idea of the story, that when you are together, all of you, it's hard to break, but when you are separate, it's easy to break. So that's what it represents.
Would you mind coming a little bit closer? There's a lot of noise.
And one of the things that I want to share is that when they built this building, it was in 1812. So there was no electricity. So how would they light it? So look at that. So that's where all the light came from. Also, people were afraid to walk up the stairs because if you look there is nothing holding the stairs, and they were afraid that they would collapse. But it never did.
It was the election that was going to decide whether or not we would continue to allow human slavery in this country. This side is absolutely identical to this side, and even the drawers go halfway through. So now think of this as your philosophy of government. You're sitting there, I'm sitting here, I'm not sitting here as your superior. I'm sitting here as your partner.
So this room is packed with the portraits of New York City governors and mayors. Here is George Washington, though, portrait of George Washington, which was made by one of the most famous American artists, Trumbull, who was also the soldier in the Revolutionary War. And George Clinton, governor of New York in 1812, and Clinton family is very famous, no connection with Bill Clinton. George Clinton and DeWitt Clinton were very important figures in the history of New York. This is a very important room where city council comes here once every 2 weeks, and they discuss some important things for the city. First time I was here, there was a session, and I was actually sitting on the balcony there and watching what was happening here. Beautiful mural on the ceiling, but I just learned a lot about this painting, which was done by Morse, the guy who created the code. Apparently he was a painter too, and this is a portrait of Marquis de Lafayette, who was French, who came in New York when he was 19 because he was just fascinated with the country, and he came here to help with some of his troops to help George Washington during the Revolutionary War. George Washington left him as his own son, even though he never had his own children. If you look at the painting itself, let's check on the painting. It's a kind of allegory that there are two busts behind on the right side. The first is Abraham Lincoln, the second is George Washington, and the third pedestal is empty, where he's supposed to be the third one as three most important heroes in the history of this country. That's what we learned today here in this room, and let's continue our journey. No eating or drinking here. The colors for New York Mets and Knicks, the basketball team and baseball team, are taken from the flag, so the orange and the blue. 1625, that's when Peter Minuet bought Manhattan island of Manhattan for $24. And then we have beaver here because beavers were the animal of the symbol of New York. Even though I was here for the second time, I learned so much. Everybody should come here. You can make the reservation. I'll put the link down below. It's free. It's very informational, and it's a beautiful building to see and enjoy. You only come here if you have an appointment or if you want to do the city tour. They just ask you for the email from Mary Beth, who you correspond with. So we just finished the tour, but I wanted to share a little story about the Nathan Hale, who was a 21 years old American soldier who got killed and hanged by British. So he was in the army, in the troops, and he went to the British side to gather some information, and he got some information, and on the way back he was caught and he was hanged. His last words were that if I had another life, I wish I had another life to give it to my country. We're headed to Municipal Building, which is right on the next to the City Hall. New York City is Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, what else? Staten Island, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, and Staten Island, 5 boroughs. In 1891, when all these 5 boroughs became New York City, so they needed bigger space. And after that, they started building the municipal building. And when you go there is, you guys know already, right? Gustavino tiles. Another beautiful area where they use Gustavino tiles. Under the City Hall, there is City Hall Station, the subway station, which was the first subway station. And we're actually gonna go there and see, but through the subway car. I remember when I first discovered this area 5 or 6 years ago, I was taking photos, and it just gives you a really good contrast of black and then like light and dark, right? So I thought that I was a great photographer. I honestly don't know anything about this church. Shame on me. We're trying, it's very noisy here. We're trying to find downtown six. Where the fuck is six? There? Yeah, we're gonna go there on that side. I'm gonna show you guys the first City Hall station, the first subway station that opened in 1904, and it's right under the City Hall building. And it's really interesting why and what caused to build subway station under the ground. But okay, where's the six? We need six. We're lost. Maybe there? Confused. Service supervisor. I'll ask him. So where is the last stop of number 6 so I can...
Gotta go.
Oh, got that there.
It's gonna go around.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I want to see the City Hall station. Yeah, thank you. Number 6, last stop is on here, City Hall station. And if you stay and don't get out, it's gonna turn around, and we're gonna see that. You have to come here, and we'll see the station from both sides. So it's the first station. It's beautiful. It has Gustavino tiles, and when they opened, it was supposed to be grand because 1904, first subway station. But then it closed in 1945 because the cars were too big and the other stations were too big, so they could not fit in there. That's why they closed it. But it's a part of the tour in the Transit Museum, so it's pretty complicated to get in there. Let's be careful here now. Ah, look at that. Can you see? Can you see? Can you see? Can you see? Oh, look how gorgeous is that. And that's it. The guys who work here in the car, so they're pretty friendly. If you just ask them that you want to see the City Hall station, they will let you sit here and stay here. You're not disappointed, right? You liked it? I just love that it's kind of one of the hidden gems that I'm trying to go after, because I love the touristy place. They are touristy for a reason because they are beautiful and they are interesting. But other than those touristy places, I like to discover like hidden gems and like small and interesting places like this and share with you guys. So if you like it, hit the subscribe button. It just makes me very excited. I know, I'm a super weird person. There. Blizzard, right, in 1888. So what happened is that I damaged all the outdoor trams and subways, all those lines, and also the electricity lines were outdoors that time. So the snow covered and broke down everything. And that's when they decided to put all the cables, electricity cables, under the ground. And that's when they decided to build the underground subway station. The first subway station was opened in 1904, and it was a City Hall station. If you guys want a sneak peek, you can stay in number 6 subway when it stops on City Hall, and just drive around, and you will just look outside the window and you'll see it. Okay? Ay, dami ka,